Looking forward to this. Danny O'Dowd, longtime general manager of Colorado, been in baseball a very, very long time. Great guy, and he says hello. Danny, welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, let's do this from good to have you with us. Let's do this from a Colorado perspective. Why do you think Colorado, which, has got a good payroll, but it's not unlimited, why do you think Colorado decided to give Arenado $260 million plus an opt-out after the 2018 season when they knew it would maybe curtail other parts of their team? Let's go to that first. Go ahead.
Chris, I think you asked the question is most appropriate here. I think the trade was made because of the opt-out, losing him at the end of the year and potentially getting nothing of value back. But I think it begs the question is if you really look at the contract and its structure, they signed him. They only got 1 year of free agency control before the opt-out was put in place. And from what I read, no one and his representative didn't ask for the opt-out. It was given to him. And so strategically, you sign a player in the spring of 2019 and then begin to have trade discussions regarding him in the winter of 2019. There seems to be a disconnect strategically on a long-term plan of where he fit into their payroll structure because this happened prior to the pandemic. So that is confusing for me, and I'm sure it's confusing for a lot of Rockies fans right now.
All right, that's number one. How does this affect Story? I mean, are they going to be in the same boat with him? He's going to want a couple $100 million, and I know he's only got 1 year left before he can leave too. Well, if they're not going to sign him with that kind of money, they might as well get him out now. Listen, the fan base will go nuts, but that's a problem. You're going to basically ruin Rocky fans forever. But, I mean, if you're looking at it from a health of your franchise, you might as well trade him out and get something for him instead of going through a long year where you're not going to win, you're not going to be in the postseason, and then he's going to walk after the year. So why not trade him now?
Chris, I think they might have missed the window with him, too. I mean, strategically, if you look at the value of players entering the last year of their contract, Lindor is a great example of what that value is. And I think Trevor Story is a great player. I could argue that he is their best player on that team, including Nolan, who is a great player himself. But looking at Nolan's case and looking at Trevor's case, if you're a franchise looking to maximize value of its talent, Nolan should have been moved in the winter of 2018. Trevor should have been moved in the winter of 2019. In the way the game is currently structured, the deeper you go towards free agency, the less value that player is going to have. So for me, at this point in time, the Rockies have put themselves into a position where they really have to try to sign Trevor to a long-term contract and go through what I think is a rebuild in the division they're currently playing in, the way the Dodgers are and the way the Padres are. And the Giants are going to be a beast here in a year when they clear payroll because they've got good young players coming up through their system about ready to hit at the big league level. Strategically, if you really look at where the Rockies are, I don't know how competitive they can be in that division in the short term. So you're going to have to convince Trevor that he's going to be the player that they build around long term.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's 5-6 years. I would think that you trade him. I mean, I really would. Now, again, that's going to have lasting effect maybe on your franchise. Now, listen, I know everybody loves him today, and he's a good guy. I get it. But I do have to give Arenado, and nobody's brought it up, so I'll be the person who does it. All right, Arenado wants to be great wants to be on a team every year that has a chance to win and everything else. Well, if that's the case, he never should have signed a long-term deal with Colorado to begin with, because we all know, you know that better than anybody. In Colorado, you got your pockets where you have a chance. You have that year or two but you're not going to be great every year because of the altitude. Yeah, I know he got the opt-out. But, I mean, it seems like the ink wasn't dry, and he was moaning and groaning as far as the direction of the team. Let me get your thoughts on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, there's definitely was a disconnect between what was said in those negotiations and what played out in reality of building a roster. And, honestly, the only people that can answer that is, Jeff and Nolan himself have to address those issues. But you're right. I mean, you really can't have your cake and eat it too in our game. If you're going to take the security of a long-term deal, that security of a long-term deal and guaranteed dollars, certainly in Colorado, is going to come with some inconsistencies from year to year. Chris, you hit the nail on the head. There are pockets of windows where you can be highly competitive in Colorado. Sustained success has always been a challenge. Personally, I feel it will always be a challenge because of unique environment that they play in year out. And he had to know that going in, but something dramatically happened during the course of 2019 to change from the tone of that spring training press conference to the following winter when his name was definitely out there in play to be dealt. Something happened along the way.
Good job, Dan. Well done. Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, buddy.
Man Bites Dog is